if you're interested in the spot, you know, see what would be right for you. If you're already doing them and stuff too, we can give you some tips from beginning to intermediate to advanced. This whole sport has progressed worldwide. I travel all over the world. I've been to Asia, I go to Japan and Maldives and inland, like what Todd was saying, you know, rivers and lakes. This is probably the fastest growing sport, you know, out there. It's like surfing going inland. You know, guys are stoked paddling just in the rivers and lakes, you know, not even on whitewater or waves and stuff like that. So it's a fun thing. So I would say, you know, really rather than, you know, be more personal. If you guys get any questions, maybe you can ask now.
All you see is this outer shell. All surfboards are foam sandwich constructions. They're built a lot like aircraft and wings. Traditional surfboards that you see out there have a lightweight foam core here and a hand layup of a fiberglass skin around. It's all hand laid up in a central wood stringer, which acts as a stiffener. So this is really like an I-beam. It's the two skins above and below this kind of give it the strength. The boards that we have, this foam core, by the way, is actually quite heavy. It has to take a lot of the strain on the structure by being, you know, pretty heavy. The boards that we make, because they're such a large framework, large volume, there's actually a really lightweight 1 pound EPS core, which is like, you know, beer cooler foam. This is wrapped with this layer of 1/8-inch high density foam, which is like a 9 pound foam. It's wrapped under heat and pressure around this core. It has these central lightweight foam stringers, and then it's layers of glass, layers of epoxy resin, and then with this finish coat. So this is all molded under heat and pressure to create probably the lightest of all the strength to weight types of surf craft. So for a big board, you want it to be pretty light, but you also want it to be strong. You also want it to be able to handle all the thermal ranges we have here. A lot of boards can't handle going from cold to hot very quickly, or being left in the sun. They'll delaminate or pop, or some of them can't handle being put on airplanes or driven over mountain passes. So this is the gold standard, and all of our production boards are built like this. It makes for it adds a couple $100 to the price, but it's, you know, like we say, if a Ferrari costs $100 more than a Yugo, you buy it.
It's kind of like, you know, this is easier to damage right here, but cheaper to make. This is harder to damage, but again, costs money and stuff too. So a lot of my friends, they buy the cheaper product out there, and then what happens is, once you damage this, water soaks in, it becomes a heavier board, and then it's not performing to what they want, and it's harder to carry, and they all kind of bummed out because they spend, you know, pretty good money on top of them, and then they end up buying one of, you know, the more quality boards and stuff too. So, you know, I tell people, watch what you're buying on the inside as well as the outside. You know, when you buy a product, ask for a cross-cut, ask for somebody to produce what, you know, the make of it. Educate yourself, you know, in what you're going to try to buy. You know, if you're going to buy something that looks good, you know, it's the difference between function and feng shui. You know, that's what I tell my wife every time she's shopping. Where is she? Shopping? No.
Yeah, one of the pitfalls people fall into. One of the main buzzword, epoxy is a big buzzword. It can mean a lot of things. It's just a resin. It doesn't mean the type of cloth or the type of sandwich construction. So when people say, "Oh yeah, it's an epoxy board," that really doesn't have any meaning unless you see a cross section of the board. The key to this is this sheath of high density foam that's put around this basically inferior lightweight core. It creates kind of like in an airplane, like a monocoque fuselage, which the skin itself on the aircraft takes a lot of the strain that's put on the structure with the spars. So this is the gold standard for this kind of construction, and unless you have like a hollow carbon fiber, like one-man type of construction, you're just not going to do any better, you know, for strength and weight. Yeah, excuse me.
So this is construction. How much, like this board? How much does it weigh?
How much weight?
Yeah.
These are actually, that's a 9-foot board by almost 27 inches wide by 3 3/4 thick, and that weighs probably around 18 or 19 pounds. A lot of regular longboard, just hand layup boards like this, just regular tanker style that aren't stand-up boards, are going to be, you know, 10, 12 pounds, and they're thin and narrow too. So it's actually, as these structures get bigger, you increase what we call the core to skin ratio, so they can actually get in a ratio lighter as they get big. Like an 11-foot board can often be lighter than, you know, relative to the volume. We also have
most of them. You know, wide is stability also too. You put this finger hold so you can carry them like this also too. Also there's a strap so you can put them paddle in and you pick up the pins on it.
Yeah,
Brian,
Yeah.
she has a question.
That's upset. So does the size of the board, is that proportionate to how big you are? As far as the length and...
Yeah, it is. You know, to every person and stuff, everybody got different abilities also too. You know, so what I tell people a lot of times is try before you buy. You know, go out and try something. We get demo days also too. You know, educate yourself of what's good, because you would hate to buy something that, you know, you're falling down, getting frustrated, and then you pretty much hate the spot. I mean, this thing is pretty easy if you get the right equipment.
Yeah, do you mount those just the way you would a surfboard? I mean, as far as the physical aspect of standing up.
We start on our knees, basically. You probably, usually, most people, if they're on a board, they haven't done it before, is you start on your knees and maybe get a few strokes. It's like riding a unicycle. This little bit of speed gives you the stability. So you go along on your knees, and then you hop up. And like I said, we're all bipeds, so we've actually found that more people have an easier time doing stand-up than lying down. More people, you take them out and teach them traditional prone paddling or knee paddling, they fall off and roll off the board a lot more easily than they do when standing on their feet. And all of us have to stay on our feet or we're not going to last very long in this world. So
Yeah, I come from
it's a natural thing.
I come from a side on the west side of Oahu where our baby boys is 300 pounders. You know, yeah, that's a small guys on the west side. You know, so they all get involved and they all paddle also too, and we help them out. You know, the theory that we teach is always crawl, walk, run, fly. You know, start off slow, and then we pretty much just give the basics about balance. You know, because you know when you think about balance is really a subconscious act. We're not thinking about when we're walking, we're balancing and things like that. But when you get on a surfboard and it's an unnatural environment for people, and the waves and the currents and the water whacking you around and things like that, and you're focusing on what to do, and your mind is trying to think like, oh, I gotta lean right, but by the time it's happening, it's too late. You know, you're trying to react to what's happening. So we tell people, don't think about it, look forward, knees bent, it's all in your hips, not in your head, and your balance and stuff like that. And you just paddle in a place where it fits the need. Don't go where it's surf, don't go where there's current. Try not to go when it's windy, and try to, you know, eliminate as much elements as possible so you can focus on your ability. And then, you know, get a board where it's just wide enough for you, stable, and then, you know, small little, you know, paddles and stuff like that. There's not a person that we haven't taught or even, you know, went out and failed. What was the biggest person we had? I had a person that was probably like 440 pounds, you know, and stood up, you know, on a surfboard and paddle, you know, around and stuff like that too. So it's pretty much for everybody, from the smallest kid to the oldest person to the biggest person to the smallest. You know, again, it's a growing sport. It's pretty infectious. Any question? How we started?
Yeah, we started by modifying existing boards and using tandem boards, sail boards. Some people even would split, like say you have a surfboard, it's a somewhat oversized tanker, cut it right in half, put a spacer plug in it, reglass it. Some people have even done catamaran style, like if you had a board like an old sailboard or something.
It has to be wider, right?
Yeah.
Then there's a normal longboard, it's kind of hard to stand like that, but if it's wider, like 27 inches opposed to 20.
Yeah, the hard and fast rule on that is that's the key thing to the stability is the width. Although once you get it wired, which is, you know, it's a short but steep plateau, you just go right into it. It's like really quick learning curve, and then you're gone. You can start chopping inches off it really quick within 5 or 6 months, I believe.
The difference we see too is because you got to realize too, it's such a big growing market, the stand-up industry right now, that you have a lot of people jumping on board that's getting involved in the stand-up market just because they're selling them like hotcakes. That's pretty much how it goes. But what people don't understand is the design of it. We design the stability inside, not just because of the width, but the rocker, where the flatness is involved. They've been shaping for years. I've been surfing for years, and it's a combination between me, Dave, and Todd of what we put into the board. There's a lot of time, knowledge, and energy that get put into the product. Other people just making one pretty much oversized surfboard. And I've seen wider boards, but what happens is they designing them for surf, but not for stability. And there's too much rocker, there's too much roll in the board.